Hello and welcome. I'm Marianne Pleva, host and producer of the Looking Back series. And with me today is Deborah Gilbert, host and producer of Arts and Entertainment. For this show, we're going to do a little different format. We've decided to interview each other. And welcome, Deborah. I'm so glad to have you here.
It's very nice to be here. Thanks so much for having me, and a little nervous because I've never been interviewed. I'm usually the one that interviews, so thanks for having me.
I understand completely. So we'll start with a little background, where you grew up, education, family.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about my story. Born in New Rochelle, New York, grew up in North Branford and Madison, and all through education, from elementary, middle school, high school, I performed. It was just a normal part of my life. So I was in theater, I was in the chorus, I sang in the choir in church, and just knew that I was going to be a performer, hopefully my whole life. And graduated from high school and was accepted at many colleges and said, I'm going to be a theater major. But when I looked at the different colleges, and I even toured one in Boston, I said, you know what, I miss my family, and I didn't want to go too far. So I ended up going to Southern Connecticut State University in New Haven, and I was going to major in their theater program, and said, just too much for me to do, the requirements. So I said, let me just do the requirements, the electives, get started, and was there for 2 years and decided I wasn't really happy. I needed a chance to do something else. So I met up with somebody from high school, and she said, I'm not really happy at my school either. Why don't we do something together? So we decided, family's important, so why don't we think about moving, transfer universities, do something else. So we ended up moving to White Plains. She had family there, I had family there. I transferred to Pace University. I started working at the White Plains Hotel. I fell in love with the general manager that was at the White Plains Hotel. He fell in love with me. We ended up getting married. And so that started a new chapter for me. And then the White Plains Hotel was up for sale. And the owner of Water's Edge, right here next to us, pursued him and said, please come and run this property. We want you to run it. We want you to live here. And I said, perfect. Let's move from White Plains. Let's go back to the shoreline. I'll be near my family. Let's do Water's Edge. And I had 3 full-time semesters left and decided, the undergrad degree is really important to me. I want to have my degree, just like you had mentioned in our previous interview, that it was important to get the degree, even though it took some time. And so I went back, and that was the key. I decided finally I was going to do something in theater, and I minored in theater, and I loved it. I did on-camera classes, so I learned how to interview, which has helped me interviewing now. I had acting classes, which helped me really look at becoming a professional actor, and theater classes, and so on and so forth. And I said, this is it. I'm going to be an actor. That's all there is to it. My husband decided that he wasn't 100% happy at Water's Edge, and he said, I want to go back to Westchester. So he took a job at a private country club there, so that put us in Scarsdale, New York. And I said, well, here I am wanting to be a professional actor. I'm a stone's throw from New York City. Perfect. I'm going to pursue a professional acting career in New York City. So I ran in by subway, by car, by train, by bus, walking, anywhere that I could go and get some work. I would do whatever I could to become a professional actor. So I had film work, television work, commercials. I had a lead in corporate video. I had a lead in an off-Broadway professional theatrical group. I worked as a production assistant for a film. I was an intern at New York Women in Film and Television. But the more that I did the acting classes and the more that I performed, the more I realized that I was much better being myself than somebody else. And so I decided, after 3.5 years of pursuing this on and off as an actor, that I was going to do something else. And it was a huge decision, but I made a decision to leave the acting profession. Killed me. It was just awful. And didn't think that I could do it, but I decided to do it. And one day I was looking in the yellow pages, and I said, why don't we look at TV? So I found the Public Television Center in Tarrytown, New York, which was also a public access station, like this one is. And I said, you know what, I'm becoming a former actor. Is there anything I can do on TV? And they said, why don't you produce and host your own talk show? And I said, that's it. I'll be an interviewer, I'll get on TV, I'll do my own work, I'll be my own self. And thus began many years on cable, radio, and the internet of talk programming. And I made the New York Times, made the Hartford Courant, Stanford Advocate, Greenwich Time, and got the word out that the shows existed. And then I finally came to a point that I was burned out. It was time for me to take a break. And I took a long break. And then in 2018, I moved to Clinton. And I was reading the Harbor News newspaper. And I said, how do I get back into media? I miss it. It's been a long time. And I saw the Valley Shore Community Television Center, where we're at right now. And they said, if you do our workshops, you can work on our TV shows. So I did their workshops. And then the TV shows came up, and I worked as a camera person and audio on them. And then I decided I wanted to host my own program, and started Arts and Entertainment with Deborah Gilbert a year ago, July. And here we are today. Mm-hmm. And you are, we just did a show with you, so you were one of my guests. And here we are, and you're interviewing me.
Right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, you certainly have an impressive background.
Thank you very much.
Now I know why you're so polished, because of all that work you've done
Thank
before. So that was it. It was just a newspaper. And did your family encourage you to do something like this, or?
My family has always been supportive of me wanting this industry. They weren't sure if I could make it big. Mm-hmm. They just knew that I loved it and it was a passion. Mm-hmm. So when they heard that I didn't have to go to New Haven or Hartford or Boston or move elsewhere, that I could find something that was close to my home, they were thrilled. So I've been here ever since.
Okay, you've done a lot of shows. I was looking at some the other day. And some are people that I even know. Mm-hmm. So how do you, how do you get your guests, and what are your plans for future shows?
Well, I end up coming up with guests by watching television, by watching film, by reading the newspaper, by seeing what's happening. The Harbor News newspaper has been a great newspaper for me to find leads of who's doing what in the area, because I do a lot of local content. I've also highlighted Broadway actors, so New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. I highlighted a filmmaker from Atlanta, Georgia, I found through the Harbor News. So I try to find somebody that's arts, education, culture. I've done our 4 theaters, I've done organizations, I've done performers. So whatever I think the viewer would appreciate learning about is how I go about finding my guests.
I think we had a picture of you doing some of your shows.
Okay, let's show a picture.
Aha,
yeah.
There you are.
The Shoreline Times came and did an article on me, and this was me here in the studio with one of the cameras, and that was a picture they took.
And that's a cute one.
Yeah, that was also the same shot from the Shoreline Times of me on set with a guest.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing.
And that's a picture of me with the guest, and she is from Kids Connection based in Clinton, Connecticut.
Getting an elbow bump.
Yeah, an elbow bump because of COVID. And that's a picture of the control room with me, and my guests are from the Cape.
Okay, great.
And the same thing.
More.
This is the studio with me from the guests with the Cape, which we just did.
Mm-hmm. You called this show, in an article that I read, live to tape, and I had never heard that expression, although I'm told mine are also. So did you want to explain what that means?
Well, Chris Morgan, the public access coordinator, said that one day. He's wonderful. I love everybody here and my crew and my guests, so we're very lucky to be here. He said we are live to tape, so what we do is that we tape our program, which is live. It then gets saved to the computer. It then gets played, which is considered tape, and gets saved on the internet. So there's really no editing that happens. It's just a straight program.
Thank goodness for that. So since you had the background in professional television and media, and now you have this, which is nonprofit, nobody gets paid, and non-commercial television, what are the differences, or at least one difference that you found?
Well, my hope is that for national distribution. So I am very thrilled to be here. If they'll keep me for forever, I'll be here. But would love to grow the show even further than it is. But I'm very grateful to Public Access that they would take on the show the way it is.
I see. I never thought of that, so it's a thought for me. So we are running a little close to out of time. So what are your other thoughts? Tell me something else.
Well, I'm just thrilled to spend some time with you. Thank you for letting me be a guest of your program. I love your show. I've watched it. And we'll both continue on here at the Valley Shore Community Television Center with our great shows and look forward to 2022.
Okay, great. And I'll just say again that your mom, because I said this in the other show, your mom was sort of the person that got us thinking about interviewing. We call the show The Interview, right? And again, I think I already said that, but yeah, this is the last local voice. And Public Access, it's amazing that it's still here, but I can tell now it's not going away. And I think a lot more people watch Public Access than did in the past. And I think it's because, although there's so many more channels, there's not a lot of quality television that's anymore. So we come right out there. We're like ahead of the pack. So I too am glad for the opportunity. So. Well, thank you. This concludes our show. And I want to thank our crew, Mary Lee, Claudia, Bill Cook, and Al. And I want to especially thank Chris Morgan. And a very special thanks to Deborah Gilbert. Thank you so much. Deborah's the host of Arts and Entertainment. And we're out of time. Oh, and thanks for watching.